6 officers pleaded guilty last year to assaulting 2 black men and shooting one of them in the mouth. The former law enforcement officers who were part of a self-styled Goon squad that tortured, sexually assaulted, and beat residents of a Mississippi county were given hefty prison sentences for brutally attacking 2 black men last year. A federal judge ordered Hunter Edward, who shot one of the victims in the mouth, to serve 20 years in prison. Jeffrey Middleton, a former lieutenant who supervised the Goon squad, was sentenced to nearly 18 years. Mr. Elwood broke down in tears as he turned to face Eddie Parker, 36, and Michael Jenkins, 33, and apologized for what he had done to them. I hate that I was involved in this, he said. I hate what's happened to them. As Mr. Elwood left the podium, Mr. Parker stood up and said that he forgave him. Now, what kind of frapple-knackle bull is that? Why do we think we need to forgive people that harm us? Black people need to wake the F up. We don't have to forgive nobody that abuse us, assault us, mutilate us. We don't have to. Who told you that you had to do that? Now, outside of the courtroom, Mr. Jenkins, the man Mr. Elwood shot in the face during what was described as a mock execution, said that he did not forgive Mr. Elwood. Okay? If he wouldn't have gotten caught, he would still be doing the same thing, Mr. Jenkins said. Exactly. You are exactly right, sir. 4 other officers will face sentencing this week in the federal courthouse in Jackson, Mississippi. All of them pleaded guilty this summer to federal civil rights offenses related to their brutal treatment of Mr. Parker, Mr. Jenkins, and a white man, Alan Schmidt, who was assaulted in a separate incident in December of 2023. So far, charges against officers in Rankin County have been narrowly focused on these 2 incidents, but residents in impoverished pockets of the county say that the sheriff's department has routinely targeted them with similar levels of violence. Last November, the New York Times and Mississippi Today published an investigation revealing that for nearly 2 decades, deputies in the Rankin County Sheriff's Department, many of whom call themselves the Goon Squad, would barge into homes in the middle of the night, handcuff people, and torture them for information or confessions. Kind of remind you of back in the slavery days when they used to do that to black people. Okay? So, people need to stop telling us to get over it. I just can't believe that things like this are still happening in this day and time. And people keep telling us to get over it. How can we get over it when it constantly happens to us? When they tell me to get over it, I tell them I can't get over it. It's too many massacres to get over. Too many massacres across the United States of this here America and the world against black people for me to get over it. Now, this article goes on to say, in pursuit of drug arrest, the deputies rammed a stick down one man's throat until he vomited, dripped molten metal into another man's skin, and held people down and beat them until they were bloody and bruised, according to dozens of people who said they had witnessed or experienced the raids. Many of those who said they had experienced violence-filled Many of those who said they had experienced violence filed lawsuits or formal complaints detailing their encounters. A few said they had contacted Sheriff Brian Bailey of Rankin County directly, only to be ignored. Sheriff Bailey, who has denied knowledge of the incidents, has faced calls to resign from local activists and the NAACP. He has said that he will not step down. Oh, you gonna step down, heifer? Oh, I'm sorry. That's so unprofessional. The Sheriff's Department in Rankin County, a suburban area just outside Jackson, came to national attention last year after the 5 Rankin County deputies and a Richland police detective raided the home of Mr. Parker and his friend, Mr. Jenkins, following a tip about suspicious activity. The officer, a neighbor called and said that they saw black men running in and out of this white woman's house. And it just so happened that it was a woman that one of the men was taken care of. So the officers handcuffed the men and tortured them by shocking them repeatedly with tasers, beating them, and sexually assaulting them with a sex toy. Mr. Elwin put a gun into Mr. Jenkins' mouth and shot him, shattering his jaw and nearly killing him. They tried to take my manhood away from me, Mr. Jenkins said in a statement to the court. I don't ever think I'll be the person that I was. The officers destroyed evidence and, to justify the shooting, falsely claimed that Mr. Jenkins had pointed a BB gun at them. During the hearing, Mr. Elwin said that he had witnessed brutal conduct by other deputies throughout his 7 years at the department, which his lawyer, Joe Holloman, said was the culture of Rankin County Sheriff's Department. During Mr. Middleton's portion of the hearing, a federal prosecutor revealed that deputies under his supervision had carried commemorative coins printed with the words Goon Squad. Early versions of the coin had an image of a Confederate flag on one side and a noose on the other side. The deputies had repeatedly shocked Mr. Jenkins and Mr. Parker with their tasers as if they were playing taser hot potato, competing to see who could inflict the most damage. Mr. Middleton apologized to the victims and his community. I have failed every law enforcement officer in the United States because my actions have tarnished the badge. Judge Tom Lee of U.S. District Court chastised Mr. Middleton for not stopping the attack or taking responsibility for the actions of the men under his command. Mr. Middleton was not a mere bystander, he said. He's the superior officer. He knew what was happening. He could have stopped it. Both Mr. Jenkins and Mr. Parker said they were satisfied with the sentences handed down by Judge Lee. Over the next 2 days, the other officers involved in the incident, who each could be sentenced to a decade or more in prison, will appear in federal court in Jackson, Mississippi. Prosecutors are expected to detail the officers' violent actions, and victims will have an opportunity to share their stories. 2 of the department's deputies will also be sentenced for violently attacking Mr. Smits. Malcolm Holmes, a professor of criminal justice and sociology at the University of Wyoming, said that the Goon Squad case was going to be one that finds its way into the chronicles of history. This is a lengthy article. I'm not going to read it. But, I say again, so many massacres across the United States and around the world against black people, against Negroes, against the chosen, the people. And they want us to get over it. I tell them I can't get over it. My ancestors won't allow me. Y'all administered too many massacres against my people. Well, let me know what y'all think about this, or don't. I don't care. It's your girl, P. Sparrow. But Sweet Talk Radio. Y'all, holla at y'all, girl, okay? Okay.